Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to Post Cologne. Today I'm going to be unboxing 3 Lattafa fragrances that I recently picked up, including Lattafa's Reyes. So let's jump into it. Alright, we are back with another unboxing first impressions video of 3 Lattafa fragrances that I recently picked up as part of a larger haul. Links are going to be down in the description if you decide you want to check any of these out. And I know I've been doing a lot of Lattafa fragrance hauls lately because they're like Pokemon for me. I need to collect them all. I need to check them all out. And so I'm getting close. So I've got quite a few Lattafas here, but 3 new ones added to my collection. Really excited to check these ones out. So let's quit screwing around. Let's get into it. All right, so kicking things off, we're going to the Lattafa Pride line, and we're going with Lattafa Pride's Alaric Gold. I picked this one up for in and around about $32, and I understand that the gold versions within the Lattafa Pride typically are a little bit more on the unisex or even feminine leaning side, but I've heard a lot about this one, and this one has got me really curious. So let's dive in and let's figure this out. All right, so there we have the box presentation for Alaric Gold. Pretty typical cardboard box, does have this kind of incense burner. I think it's pronounced Bukhar. Comment down below if I butchered that. On the front, kind of an embossed version of that, nice kind of shimmery gold, but overall, just plain old cardboard box. Let's see, take a look at the bottle. All right, there we have the bottle presentation in the kind of typical Lattafa Pride style of kind of plastic casing. So it is a nice thick kind of acrylic plastic on that with our bottle sort of sitting in there. They really jammed in this Lattafa Pride pamphlet. It gives you all the notes for all the different Lattafa Prides if you're not familiar. Pretty handy little thing. Little styrofoam insert here. And here is our bottle for Lattafa Pride's Alaric Gold. Nice, thick, heavy bottle. I do like this frosted glass look to it. It has that Bukhar emblem sitting on top with the nice metal finish to it. Cap on this is really heavy. This is a lot of metal that goes in here, so good quality of the cap on that. And the atomizer on this, nice atomizer. Long sprays, good distribution, definitely get the job done. But what does this smell like? So right off the jump, just smelling this in the air from testing that atomizer, first thing I get hit with is that almost that signature style of Lattafa saffron. It got this very kind of leathery Middle Eastern style of leather that's going on. A little bit of sweetness that's going on as well. A tiny little touch of some woods, but mostly you're getting that saffron right off the jump. So let's dive into this, see what we're dealing with. So right out the gates, going back to my comment about the Lattafa Pride Gold series being a little bit more on the feminine side typically, that is not the case for this. This is a very kind of leathery style of fragrance. Kind of a soft leather, that saffron's adding to that, giving it a little bit of spice that's there. There's a black tea note in here that I'm not sure if I'm quite picking that up or if it's the saffron that's just kind of overpowering that at the moment. There is a little touch of sweet and a little touch of woods that's going on, but for the most part, this is a very kind of a suede-y, leathery saffron style of opening to this. As this is opening up a little bit more, that saffron is starting to kind of die down a little bit. That was definitely the most prominent note that was coming through. Very saffron forward when this opened up. But now it's kind of giving way to some more of this kind of soft, sweeter accord. So this is getting a little bit gentler now as it's coming through. So a little bit of vanilla, a little touch of musk that's coming through. I think the black tea might almost give it kind of this watered down feel to a certain degree, maybe adding just a little bit of sweetness, but it is starting to balance out a little bit more. Like I said, it opened up very suede leather, but now it's starting to kind of dance along with the other notes in this. Really quite nice. I am enjoying this one. But let's skip to the dry down and see how this unfolds, and we'll go from there. All right, back with the dry down of Lattafa Pride's Alaric Gold. It's been about an hour, let this settle down, do its own thing. Hasn't changed a whole lot, but it has kind of smoothed out a little bit, and it's a very well blended fragrance. This definitely has that kind of Lattafa Pride quality that I'm fairly used to. But again, I don't think this is a feminine leaning scent, despite this being from the Gold series. I do think this is maybe even a little bit masculine. It has a very nice kind of suede leather that it's dried down to. You do get a little bit of this herbal black tea sort of vibes going on to it, touch of sweetness that's coming from that, a little bit of like vanilla sweetness, but it's not a very prominent style of vanilla that's come through the dry down, and maybe just a little kiss of incense. I was hoping this would have a little bit more incense, a little bit more of that smoky vibe. It could be just because it's off a test strip and not skin, but it's definitely a soft, suedey leather style of fragrance with just a little bit of sweetness around the edges to kind of tone that down, not make it like a bold masculine leather, but not necessarily a soft feminine leather at the same point. something that sits kind of right in the middle, and it is quite nice. I'm definitely gonna get this on skin because I think this is definitely gonna change. I'm hoping that incense and maybe that black tea comes out a little bit more, giving it a little bit more character, because overall this is a good fragrance, a good quality on it, but it's nothing mind-blowing. This isn't, you know, blowing my socks off by any means right now. It is, like I said, just kind of a soft, sweetie, leathery style of fragrance. So gonna get this on skin, do a full review, and get back to you guys and let you know. But overall, not disappointed for 32 bucks. I think this was a pretty good pickup, but I'll get back to you guys on performance and all that. That's Lattafa Pride's Alaric Gold. All right, next up, we're going with Lattafa's Rott Oud. And you picked this up for 23 bucks in and around there, and I don't know how many times I've scrolled past this one. Never really caught my eye. I've seen the bottle looks pretty beautiful. We'll find out in a second here, but overall I've scrolled past this a few times, but I decided it was time to pull the trigger, so let's see what we're dealing with. All right, there we have the box presentation for Rott Oud. Nice kind of design on this, got some shimmery golds, a little bit of a textured pattern, kind of like a viney pattern on the side, but overall, just your typical cardboard box. Let's see what the bottle looks like. All right, there we have the bottle presentation for Rott Oud. Very fancy, elegant looking bottle here. We got these little tassels, I guess we would call those, hanging on the side. They got some like interesting gems to them as well. There's like a 4-leaf clover, like a globe, like a gemstone. I'm not sure if the camera's gonna pick that up, probably not, but very ornate looking bottle here. Cap on this, got a little bit of weight to it. The actual base of this has some metal, and this is kind of like a thick acrylic on that as well. So it's got a bit of weight, decent quality. I wouldn't be able to crush this with my hand. And the atomizer on this, pretty fat sprays. It doesn't go, well, it goes decent across the room, but what does this smell like? All right, so right off the jump, just smelling this in the air from testing that atomizer. Has a very kind of rose oud, sort of like a sweet fruitiness going on to it, but it's a little synthetic, to be quite honest, smelling this in the air right now. So I don't know. Let's dive into this before I make any judgments here. So right off the jump, this is different off paper than it was in the air. What I'm picking up right away is this sweet sour style of raspberry that's mixing in with some rosy oud accords. There's some patchouli in there, so it's giving this greenness to it as well. But there's this warmth, almost kind of like this smoky little touch to it that's sitting in the background. It's interesting. It's not your typical rose oud fragrance. The fruity accord that's coming through is kind of mixing with a little bit of leather as well. It's kind of almost a competition right now between a few different scent accords, and it's interesting. All right, so as this is opening up, this is actually changing fairly quick. What I'm getting a little bit more of now is some woody notes that are coming through, some cedar that's in there, so kind of a fresh, spicy, light cedar that's mixing in with a rosiness that's mixing with the fruit sweetness that's there, and there is a little hint of leather coming through. The oud is still there, it's in the background, so if you're afraid of oud fragrances, this isn't very oud forward at this moment. I don't know if it's gonna show its face in the dry down, but fruit sweet, leather, woods, that's what I'm picking up mostly from this right now. But let's skip to the dry down, see how this unfolds, and we'll go from there. All right, so we're back with the dry down of Lattafa's Rott Oud. Been an hour, let it settle down, do its own thing. This didn't really settle down, and it's definitely doing its own thing. The oud in this is coming across fairly medicinal, and like I said, it has a synthetic sort of vibe going on to this, and synthetic doesn't always necessarily mean bad. Let's not confuse things here, but in this case, it is. It just has this plasticky, chemically sort of vibe going on to it. There is some like leather, some woods that are coming through, still has that fruit sweet sort of vibe going on to it, but I can't get past just kind of the mishmash and notes that's going on here, and it does really have that synthetic sort of vibe going on to this. I could see this being kind of headache inducing to some people if they overspray this. So overall for me, Rott Oud is a bit of a flop. I don't think I'm gonna do a full review on this one. I'll get it on skin because I don't wanna write fragrances off until I get them on skin at least a couple times, but this might be a scrubber for me. We'll wait and see. You might see this in a list, but it might not be a good list down the road. Have to get back to you on that. That's Lattafa's Rott Oud. All right, last, but hopefully not least, we're going with one that I have never heard of. I had no idea this one existed until I saw it on FragranceNet, and that's Lattafa's Reyes. I picked this up for about, what was it? About 28 bucks on FragranceNet. If you use their coupon, they always have a coupon. There's like a 30% off coupon all the time there. That's what it works out to, about 28 bucks. So no idea what is this. I have no idea what this is gonna smell like. So let's just jump in, figure it out. All right, so there we have the box presentation for Lattafa's Reyes. It's not your typical cardboard box. Again, for the price point, I was thinking it'd be just kind of a cheapy cardboard, but this is a nice thick cardboard box to it that does have a slide off like so. Ooh, interesting looking bottle that's sitting, nice little podium in there in that little, styrofoam foamy thing. And the bottle, interesting looking bottle on this. It's got this kind of ribbed texture that's going around and like a teardrop shape for the bottle, but it is nice thick heavy bottle to this. Cap on this, also got a little bit of weight. There's some metal in there with kind of a plastic inside that goes on. Interesting bottle. And the atomizer on this, oh, there we go. Decent atomizer, will definitely get the job done. But what does this smell like? So right off the jump, just smelling this in the air from testing that atomizer, first thing that popped into my brain was Invictus. This has a very Invictus-y style going on to it. That kind of bubblegummy sweetness to it, a little bit of aromatics that are in there. Just, that's what I'm getting. So let's get this on paper, see if there's any nuances or if this is just going for another Invictus clone. So right off the jump, just smelling this off paper, got kind of a nice citrus that's in there, some like bergamot, giving it a little bit of a tartness. There's probably some ginger in there. It has that kind of sweet ginger sort of vibe going on to it. A little fizzy, but not like an overly fizzy, effervescent style of ginger that's in there. A little bit of spice, but it has definite that bubblegummy sweetness that's happening. It could be a mix of some white florals that are going on in there as well, and it's got this kind of this almost watery fruit, like a melony sort of fruity sweetness that's going on to this. This is nice. As this is opening up a little bit more, those citrus notes have really died off very fast here, and we're left with more of that bubblegummy sweet. It's not overly sweet. I don't find this like cloyingly sweet, but it's definitely got that fruity sweetness that's in there. It's got a little bit of a dry texture as well. Little touch of musk that's coming through, and it has just a pinch of some spice in there. So like almost like a black pepper. It's got that kind of nose tickle you get from a black pepper, but it is tucked in behind that fruity sweetness. And this, again, this kind of like light wateriness that's going on with it. That's like a melon style of sweetness to it. This is a nice interpretation, but it's definitely an interpretation of that kind of Invictus, almost maybe a kiss of that kind of 1 million like spice that's going on in there. Yeah, this is definitely a twist on that style of Invictus, maybe a little bit of 1 million that's mixed in there as well. Your typical kind of, designer, club banger, youthful style of Centicords. That's definitely what they're going for with this one. And it's quite nice so far, but let's wait for the dry down, see how this unfolds, and we'll go from there. All right, back with the dry down of Lattafa's Reyes. It's been about an hour, let this settle down, do its own thing. This has changed a little bit. Like I said, this opened up and it was very much that Invictus vibe. It had that bubblegummy sweetness, all that kind of jazz going on with it. So it definitely reminded me of Invictus with a hint of Paco Rabanne 1 million perhaps as well. But as this got to the dry down, it's kind of shifted away from that bubblegummy sweetness. It's still there, but it's not quite hitting the money for like an Invictus clone. It still may have that inspired by, but that melons come forward. There's this rosemary, so there's this like aromatic balance between this melon, this aromatic sort of fresh spice that's going on, a little bit of woods, and some dry amber, a hint of musk that's in here. So it still has that sweetness, but the sweetness has dialed down quite a bit to what you're used to with like an Invictus style of fragrance. So this could be like a more mature kind of twist on Invictus with a twist for sure. Not a direct clone as far as I'm concerned. But it is a nice fragrance. I am enjoying this one. It has a little bit of a maturity to it. So this is a little bit, not quite for the youthful crowd, going for that youthful style of fragrance. Doesn't matter what age you are. But this does have a more gentlemanly sort of vibe going on to it, but still has that kind of playful edge. I'm enjoying this. I'm gonna get this on skin, see how it reacts there, because again, off a test strip, it's a totally different experience once you get it on skin. So probably do a full review on this one, because I am curious how this is gonna do. Performance on this might be pretty good. It is pushing off fairly good off this paper, so curious to see. We'll definitely get back to you all, but so far, I am enjoying this one. That's Lattafa's Reyes. All right, so there you have it. That's my unboxing and first impressions of 3 Lattafa fragrances that I recently picked up in a haul. But I want to hear from you guys. What are some other Middle Eastern fragrances, Lattafa, Paris Corner, Swiss Arabian, Rasasi, that you'd like to see me do an unboxing for, do some reviews for? Comment down below. I love hearing from you guys. I love getting your different recommendations, your hidden gems, your different tastes and scent profiles. Appreciate you. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.